Andrew Dominio, I am just so upset
what now?
and angry and disappointed all at the same time. I cannot believe you missed the premiere screening of the movie Fallen that you were actually in.
We wanted to
you
go.
had a speak. You wanted to go. What in the hell are you talking about? I had more people coming up to me saying yesterday, "Where is Andrew?" Here, all the actors that were in this movie. And by the way, this I'm glad I went, because otherwise we wouldn't have been represented, for God's sakes.
Oh my gosh!
The guy who was actually in the movie. This movie was Fallen, and it played last night at Munson Williams. And it is, and let me tell you, unlike previous movies that we've had, a bunch of local actors. It did have local actors, and even Tom from Little Falls was in there.
Did you
Andrew
see him?
had a speaking part. Oh, you definitely see him.
Oh, yeah?
Andrew had a speaking part.
What was your line? Was it lines or line?
It was. I was frustrated with the girl because she was taking. It was kind of. It was easy to play because I get irritable easily.
Let me just say something.
It was terrible.
Allison, my wife, last night said, "I thought Andrew was a little over the top in this part." People in Utica wouldn't yell at someone like that, and I said, "Oh, excuse me. You haven't seen Andrew at his best." I think he was right in line with old Andrew when he gets angry.
Yeah.
It was you really had to find something from within in order to
right. My
to play that
IMDb
character.
profile lists the character as restless man.
Of course, the tie-in here is the Sinnott family that owns Bank of Utica. One of the producers, I guess, be the director of the movie, is married to one of the daughters, and they were looking. He was talking about this last night. They were looking for a place to film the movie, and they were looking at L.A. They were looking at New York City and different spots. They needed all these issues and these things and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, she said, "Well, all that's available in Utica." And they came up, and the director, who came up from L.A., came over from L.A. They toured, and they loved it here, and they chose to do the movie here. And by the way, these are people that are working on big movies. For instance, in the movie, some of the actors. Who was the lead? Lead is in like Mad Max. She's like just recently in
X-Men movies.
X-Men. It was recently in the X-Men movie.
Really?
And, the girl from Orange is the New Black.
I'll get to that. The second, the other love interest, she's been in a ton of movies, and she was really incredible. There was, as you said, the female character from Orange is the New Black. Her name is Lorna Morello. She was in it. She's the one that is the delusional one on Orange is the New Black. That's the Italian. She dresses up all made up, all pretty.
She's always got makeup on,
and she always thinks that her boyfriend, her love interest, loves her, but he really doesn't. And she'll call him up. Are you familiar? And then she got out that one time and
went to the guy's house.
Went to his house. She was a main character.
Yael Stone is her name.
Isn't it?
Her character in the show is the one that you had said, but the actress's name is Yael Stone.
Yael Stone, who plays Lorna Morello on Orange is the New Black. And then also in the movie, from the movie Goodfellas, the one and only Paul Sorvino was in this movie.
Get out of here!
Listen, I had said, "Oh, awesome, another local film." And the first thing I asked was, "How long is it?" And I'm not trying to be, but sometimes you go and you sit and you watch these things, and it's like, well, that's awesome. It's a great job, but it's not like going to the movie theater. This was like going to the movie theater. It was really, really well done. And you're seeing Utica all over, the Green Onion to the Utica Roasters to Taylor and the Cook, and just all of the local places. And then out of nowhere, Andrew's waiting in line over at Utica Roasters, gets angry and yells at somebody. And I'm looking, oh, where's Andrew? Where's Andrew? It's a big red carpet night. Nowhere to be found. It was an awesome night. We chose not to do the after party at Ocean Blue for obvious reasons. And sitting here right now, I'm glad that that's exactly what we chose to do. But we stayed for the question and answer, and it was really cool. It really was very, very cool.
Did you meet Yael Stone?
I didn't. I met Josh Hellman, who was the guy that you were talking about.
Josh Hellman. He was awesome, and he's in like X-Men and Mad Max and all of these.
Jack Reacher.
And the female character, there was another one, too, the young guy that plays the hockey player comedian. Looked like a young Matthew Broderick, or maybe not Matthew Broderick, but the guy, I can't remember the guy's name. But anyway, it was
Danny Lane, I think.
It was really, really good. And, I look around, and during a couple of sensitive moments, there are actually some tears. There were some tears, some people tearing up just a little bit during the sensitive parts. Yeah, very impressed. And there's a story about Paul Sorvino, and I guess I can tell the story because they did it part of the question and answer, and they're talking about how they did this film. How do you get Paul Sorvino up here to do the movie? And I should be talking to Willie Waffle as we're including this. Willie, good morning.
Well, good morning. Anytime you talk about Paul Sorvino, my ears perk up.
Well, I got to tell you that. So in this movie, Paul Sorvino, who's the guy from Mad Max? Or
Josh Hellman.
Josh Hellman was in this movie. Yael, is that how you say it? Yael Stone, who plays one of the big characters on Orange Is the New Black. And this movie that was filmed in Utica showed for the first time last night at premiere. And in the movie also was Paul Sorvino. So here's the story about Paul Sorvino. So they said, we're looking for this legendary New York. They wanted to keep it New York, and Sorvino lives in New York. So they reached out to his people, and all of a sudden they came to an agreement. He said, okay, I'll give you 1 day. So he gave them 1 day, and he plays several scenes in this movie. 1 day, I'll give you 1 day. And I believe it was like $180,000.
Wow.
For a 24-hour appearance is what they had to pay for this. Anyway, he made his way up here. They got him up here. He showed up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And because they only had 1 day, they had to immediately start working. The cast and crew, everybody had to get together. And all of his several scenes throughout the entire movie, and he played a major role in this movie, all had to be filmed in 1 day. And it all started at 3 a.m. And he plays a businessman. And it really, I was unbelievably pleasantly surprised by this thing last night.
Awesome.
It was really cool. So
how many waffles, Willie?
Well, you get 5 waffles for doing all your scenes in 1 day.
Yeah, how about that? And
that is shocking.
Yeah, and obviously it's lower budget. So when you get somebody like Paul Sorvino, and it's going to be like, hey, $180,000. Well, you're going to be up near $400 if you get him for 2 days. So to save the money, he was willing to do it in 24 hours. So that's what they did. Really a cool story. It's going on now to film festivals, and down the road we'll all be able to see it. But the showing last night was really, really cool, and I'm glad we went. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of get on the ground floor. When it hits Sundance and then it hits the Toronto Film Festival, you can say, I saw it first.
I saw it first. All right, Willie. I don't have my movies in front of me right now. So what are we looking at this weekend?
Well, you got 3 movies. I mean, the first one is this Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, which is like a promise I don't think they'll keep. They've made, like 7 or 8 of these Resident Evil movies, and this one is just like all the rest. They're just like the Underworld movies. Mila Jovovich wears tight clothes and kicks booty for 2 hours, and she's good at that. But there's no real story here. They try to make it this grandiose kind of epic battle between good and evil, where humanity is almost being wiped out by this evil corporation, and nobody cares, okay? They're just there to watch Mila Jovovich kick butt. I'll say 1 waffle for Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, and how dare they tease a sequel in the last scene.
Oh, boy. What was the movie last week you gave 4 waffles to again?
Oh, that was The Founder.
The Founder.
The Founder was really good with Michael Keaton.
I'm going to check and see if that movie's playing here, but it has not been here yet. Can somebody check the theater listings?
What is it?
The Founder. That's the McDonald's the McDonald's movie, which didn't show here last week. It's killing me, and did really well, by the way.
Well, and I think what's going to happen is you're probably going to see that movie on DVD in a couple of months. The whole idea was that this was a big Michael Keaton possible Oscar movie, and he didn't get a nomination. So I think they're going to scale back any kind of release, and you're going to catch it on DVD at some point.
Wouldn't they
still not playing here?
Wouldn't that have been possible if they had released it more in a broad range of places?
Well, the idea, the marketing for it was simply reach out to influencers first, try to get the nomination and then use the nomination as a marketing tool. And you see some movies do this very successfully. This one did not. I literally got the DVD for this movie like 2 months ago, and they were like begging me to support it at the Critics' Choice Awards, and the Golden Globes voters got the DVD, and they were begging them to support it, and so forth and so forth. But it just didn't work out.
Listen, I'm going to ship you some tomato pie, and I'm going to have in there a box with a return label, okay?
Okay.
And send that DVD this way, then I get to see it. All right, okay, so what's the other one? Gold? And we'll get to the last one. Gold is the name of the movie?
Yes, Gold. This is Matthew McConaughey. So I got good news and bad news for you ladies out there. Here's the good news. He takes off his shirt in this movie.
Oh, great.
Here's the bad news. He gained 50 pounds for the role.
Wow. This is the one.
This is the one. Yeah. It's based on a true story, actually a scandal that happened in the early 90s. He plays this gold prospector. The company's falling apart, the company that was established by his grandfather, and he's got one last chance. He's teamed up with a guy in Indonesia who used to be a hotshot kind of geologist, but he's fallen on hard times too. But he thinks they might know where the largest stash of gold in Indonesia is located. And as they find it, everybody and their brother tries to steal it from them, railroad them, take over the project, you name it. And so you see that playing out. And I wish they'd gotten into more of the details for that. This really is more of a movie about Matthew McConaughey and him acting like a crazy guy and an angry guy. And that's fun to watch, don't get me wrong. But, I don't need the story with his girlfriend. It just doesn't matter. I don't need several things that happen in this movie, but I'll go 2.5 waffles. I think it's an enjoyable one.
All right, and then finally, what is going on with this movie over the dog? Everybody's all upset, and animal rights activists saying, don't go see this movie. What is this? What's it all about?
Well, it's called A Dog's Purpose, and it's supposed to be this feel-good cotton candy movie about a dog and how his spirit moves from dog to dog as he tries to solve this existential crisis he has of what is my purpose in life? Why do I exist? And when will I get bacon again? And it should have been just like this cute little movie, but there is an on-set video that emerged, kind of a behind-the-scenes video emerged of the trainers apparently, and I say apparently because it's hard to kind of determine what happened, apparently trying to force one of the dogs to do a stunt that is freaking out the dog. And the dog is literally trying to climb out of the tank where they're doing
this. Is it like cold water, Willie?
Yeah, cold water. It's called like it's some sort of tank. I forget what it's called, but it looks like rushing river water. And the dog is supposed to jump in and swim, and the dog doesn't want to do it. And you see the handler kind of trying to push the dog to do it, and they argue that the reason the dog freaked out is because they practiced on the other side of this tank, and when they moved to the other side, everything was fine. But who knows? Well, once the video goes out, I mean, we've talked about this with the internet. Once that video goes out and the knee-jerk reaction of the internet kicked in about 2 hours, this movie was done.
Wow. And has that hurt? Has this controversy hurt ticket sales at this point? Or do you think it's going to?
Well, they say that they're still on track for selling a number of tickets that they anticipated. They had to cancel the premieres in L.A., and I think they also canceled the one in New York because they just didn't want to deal with the PETA protesters.
Yeah.
But as far as the movie goes, I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's kind of a near miss of a movie. It's got its emotional hooks. It really is a movie that's trying every trick in the book to get you to love it and embrace it and
who knows?
And be emotional.
At the end of the day, this movie actually might get more publicity. Well, certainly getting more publicity than it would have had this controversy not existed. But all right, interesting. Okay, Willie.
How many waffles?
I'll go 2 waffles.
Right.
It's kind of right on the borderline.
All right, by the way, the founder of McDonald's movie not playing in Utica this weekend and not playing in Rome this weekend. It is, however, playing in Syracuse. Full showings in Syracuse this weekend. Willie, thanks. Enjoy the weekend.